Fishing news is brought to you by Navionics, Okuma, and Yozori.
Big striped bass on the Raritan and also the Delaware Bay. Black drum arrive in Grape Bay and also down into Atlantic and Cape May County as well. Plus we have the first reported weakfish of the 2019 season. I'm Jim Hutchinson with the New Jersey Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine. Before we get on to the reports, let's hit the big news, and that's the 2019 recreational regulations in the state of New Jersey. The New Jersey Marine Fisheries Council met on Tuesday, April 16th. Rather sparsely attended, just a handful of us there, listening to enforcement discussion and talk about striped bass and windmills. And of course, we found out about the fluke regulations that everybody wants to know about. Looks like it's May 24th to September 21st. 3 fish, 18 inches. You got that 17-inch size limit if you're fishing down on Delaware Bay again, and of course the 16-inch 2-fish bag for surf casters at Island Beach State Park. Now this May 24th opening just needs the rubber stamp of approval from the ASMFC and also the NJDEP, so we expect that to happen very soon. But sharpen your hooks. We get back to fluke fishing the Friday before Memorial Day. Of course, black sea bass, we retain the 2018 regulations, so you kick off again, 12.5-inch size limit, a 10-fish bag from May 15th to June 22nd. And again, the rest of the season is just like it was last year. No change in Delaware. Nothing to worry about. In fact, in Delaware, you can already start fishing for flounder, summer flounder if you want to. Heard of a couple of fish have moved into Indian River Inlet, but checking out the reports, we also heard that there's some nice tog along the rocks at Indian River Inlet as well, and a black drum reported at Broadkill Beach this past week on the Delaware Bay. Of course, on both sides of the Delaware, boaters from Delaware and New Jersey are getting in on the black drum finally, or at least if they're not, it's only because they're not getting out there. I know I talked to Bob Cope this week. He was out on Wednesday aboard Full Ahead Sport Fishing. He put Eric Spoor and some guys onto drum in a 20-pound range, perfect dinner-sized drum. Cope told me he was the only guy out there. Heard of another drum that was sanded along the Cape May County beaches over the weekend. Guess his guys are going with clam, looking for striped bass. You're bound to get a black drum as well. Or if you're gearing for them, some folks like Kirsten Holloway here, she was out on Great Bay looking for those black drum and dragged one up along the sod banks earlier this week. Personally, I like tying one on. I mean, tying on a clam with that elastic thread. And also to give it a little extra kick, you might want to go with a little bit of Finessence Cheddar Oil. Soak your clam baits in it. Learn that one from Matt Calabria. Of course, the Finessence is great for weakfish. Soak in your plastics and your bucktails. And yes, this week, Sea Isle Bait and Tackle reported this week that big weekies have turned on behind Sea Isle. That's according to Captain Joe Hughes at Jersey Cape Guide Service, getting in on some of those special sea trout of ours. Now, get back to the striper action. The best of the striper action is still up on the Raritan Bay, where folks are finding terrific catch and release action on some of those big pre-spawn striped bass that are up there. Nice release here for Ron Tucci and crew. That one sent over from the folks at Tackle World. A lot of bunker, a lot of bass on bunker. Looks like that surface bite is getting ready to really break into action. This video care of Guy Buono up there on Staten Island. Of course, when those bass are turned on to bunker up top, time to throw the top waters. Your Polaris poppers, your pencil poppers, metal lips, also shads and swimmers. With those bunker in, of course, you can get fresh bunker. Chunkin is doing the trick as well. Did it for Sean here, working the night shift at the Keensburg Pier. The guys in boats out on the open waters of the Raritan Bay and out front as well. Spoons, X-Wrap Magnums, and of course, those Mojos are working. Just ask this Magnum. Nikki Hanacheski of the Saltwater Underground getting it done earlier this week, catch and release, dragging those Mojos for some good striped bass action. I'm talking to some of the shops. Giglio says the North Coast surfcasters that are putting in their time at night, those folks that are creeping while the rest of us are sleeping, they're doing the best job right now. And again, more of that Raritan Bay and Sandy Hook striper bite should be turning on in the coming days, as well as those fish are up there staging. Down in Belmar, we talked to Bob Matthews of Fisherman's Den. He said smaller stripers in the Belmar surf, hitting clams and small lures as well. Said the tog are turning on at some of the local inlets, Shark River, Manasquan, also at the Point Pleasant Canal as well. And of course, the crew at Grumpy's reported lots of small fish in the Ocean County surf earlier this week on Tuesday. We talked about who's going to be the first to bring in something to riptide over the weekend. Well, that was Rich Passarella. He hit the first keeper on the beaches of Brigantine. He was fishing the South End Jetty, weighed in a 10.5 pounder over there with Andy at Riptide Bait and Tackle. So that action along Brigantine is starting to turn on as well. Meanwhile, I'll go back into Delaware Bay, talk to Captain Skip aboard the Stalker. He said chunking on Delaware Bay produced this week. He was out on Wednesday, hit some fish on the bunker chunk up to 20-25 pounds or so. So that's a good sign, and hopefully more of those stripers at some point will empty out of Delaware Bay and move their way up the coast, so that we'll have good action all the way into the spring. The one fish we're waiting to find out when is going to move up the coast. I mean, we've got black drum, we've got stripers, we've got weakfish. But where are the bluefish? Talked to Dave at Absecon Bay this week. He posted that in 2015, the bunker showed up in the Mullica on April 25th. He had heard of the first bluefish caught at Graveling Point on April 26th. He went in to net some bunker on the 27th, put a line in, and loaded up on this big gator as well. He said that was about the first time that year that the start of the bluefish invasion there from south of Absecon, and it sustained. It was a good sustained bite. So Dave reminded us that we're about 10 days away right now from that mark. And the way that early striper bite turned on up in North Jersey, maybe we're a week away or just a few days with some of those bluefish. Now, of course, with this weekend ahead, if you've looked at it, the weather could be the only thing holding us back. A lot of wind and heavy seas in the weekend forecast. Excuse me. But maybe that ground swell that we're expected to get might have been the ground swell that pushed some of those stripers in across the fence earlier this month. Could be enough to push in more bass inshore and perhaps a couple more bluefish to come inshore as well. Now, it's going to make the togging tough, though. I know this past weekend it was mostly a pick for a lot of guys, though Andy Donofrio got his personal best fishing with Ralph Lair on the Last Lady. We need another couple of weeks of some good weather in between so that we can get those boats out and take advantage of that tog bite before it comes to a close at the end of April. I know one guy who's got his eye on the weather fits. That's my friend George, the Pocono Outdoors guy.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. You know, there's certainly a lot going on this week, and the biggest story has really been the weather. You know, recent rains have really put a damper on things with streams running high and fast, and that also put a big damper on the shad bite. You know, the river over the weekend has been roaring, and these pictures here from Captain Kevin Houlihan shows you how fast this river really is, and how chocolatey brown as well. So hopefully that shad bite will return in the next few days. But last week we had reports of shad being caught as far north as Delaware Water Gap. Now the trout bite, the same thing as well, with most of the small creeks and streams running high and fast. Many of the anglers headed for the ponds, and successfully as well. Here a couple anglers were scored big with huge rainbows, browns, even a few goldens. It was a great day, and we have a lot of successful fishermen out there as well. Now, we're also getting reports with the warming weather of some stripers starting to be caught in the freshwater. Well, this is really exciting. The bite is on. You know, as those water temperatures get up over that 50-degree mark, a lot of activity starts to happen. I want to give a big shout out to the Hummel brothers. And here we have 14-year-old Jacob with his first striper he caught while he was out catfishing with chicken livers. And 13-year-old, his brother Michael, got into some white perch as well. Also, we have TJ Zellers out here with one he got while night fishing on chicken liver as well. We're also getting reports of some really good pre-spawn bass bite. So there's just so much going on. You know, the season started. You guys got to get up, get out, and go get them lines wet. From Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy.
Don't forget, keep up on all the latest video reports by signing up. Become a YouTube subscriber. We also post some regular video how-tos and information you might find very useful, but you got to sign up if you want to get those video alerts. Very easy. Become a YouTube subscriber to the Fisherman's channel. You'll get all that information as well. One last thing, as this black drum bite continues to intensify, May 1st, we kick off the Fisherman Magazine's Black Drum Battle. You get more information on this contest by going to blackdrumbattle.com. You don't have to be a subscriber to take advantage of some great prizes we've got with our friends over at Penn. Happy Passover, happy Easter, and happy fishing. We'll see you again next week right here at thefisherman.com.